3:20 update, the Cubs have officially signed another 2018-19 IFA, Jonathan Alvarez, PRR, 6,1160, age 19, Dominican Republic. So, the Cubs have now signed 18 IFA since the start of the 2018-19 ISP on July 2. See complete list below. 3:21 update, the Cubs officially signed another 2018-19 IFA, Cristian More, of LL 5'10". 170, age 17, CUBA 3:15 update, the Cubs have officially signed another 2018-19 IFA, Felix Stevens, of RR 6, 4,235, age 19, Cuba. Note, by this time last year the Cubs had signed 33 IFA on their way to a record for the Cubs, 46 IFA signed by the 6/15 deadline. But that was because the Cubs needed to fill a 35-man roster for the new AZL Cubs. Otherwise probably would have remained in the DSL for another season, and that in turn required signing a much higher than usual number of IFA to replenish the two Cubs DSL squads. The Cubs don't have that issue this year. 1/7 update, the Cubs have signed 3 more 2018-19 IFA, Ezekiel Alvarez, of BR 5, 11,150, age 16, Dominican Republic. Samuel Duarte, of RR 5, 11,175, age 17, Dominican Republic. Lazardo Ruiz, INFR, R5, 11,165, age 16, Dominican Republic. So the Cubs have now signed 15 IFA since the start of the 2017-18 ISP. See list below. 12/3 update, the Cubs have signed one more 2018-19 IFA, Manuel Heredia, RHPR, R6, 4,195, age 21, Dominican Republic. So the Cubs have now signed 12 IFA since the start of the 2018-19 ISP. See list below. 11/1 update, the Cubs have officially signed 3 more J-2 2018-19 IFA, Edwin Castillo, INFL, R6, 0160, age 19, Dominican RPUBLIC. Darling Growlin, PRR 6, 4,200, age 18, Dominican Republic. Orlando Guzman, of LR 6, 0160, age 16, Dominican Republic. All 3 were assigned to the DSL Cubs. The earliest they can make their field debut is at post 2018 as instructs. TBD. International free agents signed by Cubs in 2018-19. International signing period last updated March 22, 2019. * bats or throws left. No international player can be signed during the period of time extending from June 16 through July 1. Canada, and Puerto Rico, and has not been enrolled in a high school or college in the U.S., Canada, or Puerto Rico within the previous year, can be signed during the international signing period. Also, a 16-year-old international player can be signed if the individual will turn 17 prior to September 1 or prior to the conclusion of the regular season of the minor league club to which the player has assigned, whichever comes first. An international player can be signed for future service. Contract is for the following season, if the player signs a contract during the period of time starting on July 2 up through January 15. In addition, a 16-year-old international player who otherwise would not be eligible to sign can be signed for future service. That is, contract is for the following season, if the player signs a contract July 2 through August 31. International signing bonus pool. There is a maximum limit on the aggregate amount of money each MLB club can pay as signing bonuses to international first-year players. Beginning with the 2017-18 ISP. 1. A club's international signing bonus pool (ISBP) will no longer be divided into 4 signing bonus values. Instead, a club's ISBP will be a fixed amount, $5.75 million for the clubs that have selections in competitive balance round B, between the second. The clubs that have selections in competitive balance round A, between the first. 2. A club cannot exceed its assigned ISBP plus a maximum additional 75% of the club's assigned ISBP that might be acquired in a trade or trades, a maximum additional 60% of its assigned ISBP that might be acquired via trade or trades starting with the 2019-20 ISP. 3. A club can carry over up to $400,000 in ISBP space from one ISP to the next ISP if the contract or contracts signed by a player or players are voided after the conclusion of the ISP during which the contract or contracts were signed. The amount of ISBP space carried over from the previous ISP must match the amount of ISBP space that was deducted from the club's ISBP after the player or players signed their contracts. If the amount of ISBP space deducted exceeded $400,000, the amount of ISBP space in excess of $400,000 that is carried over to the next ISP will be divided up into 29 equal amounts and added to the ISBP of the other 29 MLB clubs. Note: a club's right to carry over ISBP space from one ISP to the next ISP only applies to contracts that are voided as the result of the player failing his physical or being unable to obtain a visa to the U.S. or if an investigation by the MLB commissioner determines the player falsified his age and/or identity prior to signing the contract. It does not apply to contracts voided by the MLB commissioner as a result of a rules violation by the club. 4. An MLB club that signs an Article 20B qualified player, not including its own qualified players, will have $500,000 subtracted from its assigned International Signing Bonus Pool (ISBP) in the next full international signing period (ISP) for each qualified player signed, and an MLB club that as a CBT payer, club's payroll exceeds the so-called luxury tax, would have $1 million subtracted from its ISBP in the next ISP for each qualified player signed. The competitive balance tax threshold is $195 million in 2017, $197 million in 2018, $206 million in 2019, $208 million in 2020, and $210 million in 2021. 5. The MLB commissioner can order a club to forfeit up to 50% of its assigned ISBP from one or more ISP and/or one or more player contracts can be voided if it is determined that a club and/or a player or players attempted to circumvent the international signing bonus rules. ISBP exceptions, restrictions. 1. A signing bonus paid to a first-year international player age 25 or older who has spent all or part of at least 6 seasons playing in an MLB-recognized foreign professional or major league does not count against the club's ISBP. 2. Up to 75% of a signing bonus paid to an international free agent under the control of a Mexican league club does not count against the MLB club's ISBP if the signing bonus is paid to the Mexican league club and not directly to the player, and the player receives no more than 25% of the signing bonus from the Mexican league club. Note: on June 19, 2018, the MLB commissioner imposed an indefinite ban on MLB clubs signing any first-year IFA player who is under contract to a Mexican league club. 3. A player subject to ISBP restrictions cannot be signed to a major league contract. Trading, acquiring ISBP space. A club can trade up to 100% of its ISBP, and a club can acquire up to 75% of the club's assigned ISBP via trade. A club can acquire up to 60% of its assigned ISBP via trade or trades beginning with the 2019-20 ISP. While up to 100% of a club's originally assigned ISBP, plus up to an additional 75% of the club's originally assigned ISBP that might be acquired in a trade or trades, can be traded. There are some restrictions. 1. A club's ISBP, or a portion of it, can only be traded during the international signing period (ISP), to which the ISBP was assigned July 2 through June 15 of the following year. 2. A club can trade no more than $250,000 of its ISBP space in any one transaction unless the club is trading all of its remaining ISBP in one transaction. 3. A club's ISBP, or a portion of it, cannot be sold for cash. However, cash can be exchanged if it is used to offset the salary or salaries of a player or players acquired in return for the SBV. 4. A club's ISBP, or a portion of it, cannot be substituted for a player to be named later. PTBNL. 5. and a club's ISBP, or a portion of it, acquired in a trade can be traded, flipped to a third club. Restricting bonuses carry over from pre-2016 CBA through the 2016-17 ISP, a tax and a restriction on bonuses that could be paid to international players during the next ISP were assessed if a club paid signing bonuses in excess of its ISBP in a given ISP1. A club that paid signing bonuses that exceeded its ISBP by 5% or less was assessed a 75% tax on the ISBP overage, but there was no restrictions on bonuses in the next ISP. 2. A club that paid signing bonuses that exceeded its ISBP by 5 to 10% was assessed a 75% tax on the ISBP overage, and was permitted to sign only one international first-year player to a bonus of $500,000 or more in the next ISP. 3. A club that paid signing bonuses that exceeded its ISBP by 10 to 15% was assessed a 100% tax on the overage, and no player could be signed to a bonus of $300,000 or more in the next ISP. 4. A club that paid signing bonuses that exceeded its ISBP by 15% was assessed a 100% tax on the overage, and no player could be signed to a bonus of $300,000 or more in the next two ISPs. Money collected from the tax on clubs that exceed their ISBP will be used to further the development of international baseball. Note: despite changes in the 2016-21 CBA, penalties incurred by clubs in the 2015-16 and 2016-17 ISPs will continue in the 2017-18 and 2018-19 ISPs. Because they exceeded their 2015-16 ISBP by more than 15%, the Cubs were not allowed to sign any international free agent subject to ISBP signing bonus limits to a contract with a signing bonus in excess of $300,000 in both the 2016-17 and 2017-18 ISPs.